Thank you, Susan. I don't know there's anything I can say that the Borough President hasn't captured very, very well. It is okay to say that regarding the C30 process, that the level 1 committee interview is happening on Wednesday the 15th. So the next stage is on the way. And it is aligned to New York State law and the Chancellor's regulations. We're following those policies. We do care. We are here listening. We're here taking notes. And not just about the C30 process. We heard about the bandwidth down here. And turn to Robert Miller, my Director of Operations, of what can we do here to try to see what the situation is and if there's anything we can do about the bandwidth in the room. We're listening. We're here.
I just have a question. If you can elaborate more on the whole process of that day, level 1. When I received word, supposedly we are given, it starts at 4 o'clock. We just found this out today. So Wednesday, which is how many days away? Like 4 or 5 days away, something like that, and 6 days away. And we get the resumes at 4 o'clock. So until that day, we do not know who's right. Is that correct? And we have an hour to deliberate on what we're going to ask. We have time beforehand to know, or we have to sign forms. Just go a little bit on that too.
Sure. And if you came in after I started speaking earlier, again, I'm Lawrence Pendergast from the Field Support Center for Queens North. We serve schools in districts 24, 25, 26, and 30. The C30 process does involve inviting candidates who have applied for the position to be interviewed. They're interviewed by a committee of your representatives. They're parent representatives, students, representatives from the teachers union, the CSA, which is the administrators union, DC37, which represents school aides, among other titles. And they review resumes and develop questions for the candidates who are being interviewed. And that process is happening. The issue about the amount of time to review those was raised. Actually, thank you, Mr. Scardino. Where are you? Thank you. He caught me as soon as I walked in and told me about that, and that is, I will relay that to the superintendent.
Ms. Bam?
Yes, ma'am.
Can you please explain why Superintendent Lindsay isn't here herself? There's a lot of questions that only she can answer.
I understand.
Just to say, I literally emailed her to invite her here, and she's declined to come. So just to let you know.
And the question being why?
There's no why. She just says she's not able to attend. If Superintendent Lindsay is here, was invited to come today. I did invite her, and then she responded, at least, saying that she regretfully declined, so she's not able to make it. So she was invited. So go ahead. I'm sorry. Just to make that point, she was invited.
I have a quick question for you. I've witnessed the C30 process on several occasions. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. I've witnessed the C30 process on several occasions, and from what I've seen, level 1 basically gives a recommendation. So there can be all the rationality, all the wisdom laid on the table at level 1, and then comes level 2, which is where the superintendent goes behind closed doors on a one-to-one basis with the candidate and then makes a decision. What guarantee is there that the recommendation of level 1 has any effect whatsoever on level 2? Because I've seen the content.
Okay, I can't answer every question there. What I can say is the regulation's very clear. We do take the recommendations of that committee very, very seriously.
Right.
It doesn't determine who becomes the next principal. And the problem is that if there's 38 candidates, there's someone who selects 5. It may not be the people we want. They could be the worst candidates. And that's not fair. then all of these people gather around, they sit, they interview, they do all this work. And for what purpose? Because the bottom line is the superintendent chooses the person, and that superintendent doesn't have to listen to any of the recommendations from the committee. And that's our problem here. So that's why I asked, you know, you hear the tension here. If there's someone who's going to be a candidate that we don't want, how could that possibly happen? And if it does, what can we as a community do about it? Because you can see, you have some people here, I think that it will be worse if we don't know what our next steps should be. I want to know in advance, if they get to interview the interim acting principal, why would she be chosen? And if she becomes principal, what can we do about it? Because then I think it's too late.
The selection criteria for the candidates who are being interviewed, that is a very legitimate question, and that is a question that your representatives on the level 1 committee can raise for you on your behalf at the C30 process, and you should reach out to them and ensure that question is raised.
They're not given the other 33 people. If there's 38 people, they're only being given 5 choices. What happens to the 33? And why doesn't our people have choice to see them, or interview them, or even look at their resumes?
That's the fight that Cass is working on. That's what Cass was saying.
Sir, do you report directly
Well,
to
ma'am,
Ms.
I'm not ignoring your question. She responded very well. That
She
is,
responded to that as Ms. Katz is fighting for, but the thing is, you know, who's to say these 5 representatives, these 5 applicants that we're being given could be the worst of the worst? Why are they being chosen?
and again, that is a question your level 1 committee and your parent representatives, they can address that question on Wednesday night.
I just want one quick question. Can you
Franco.
confirm if Mrs. Jahoda has an interview on March 15th?
Rico, I cannot. I am, but remember that at the end of the day, this is a personnel hiring process, right? And necessarily, parts of that process are confidential. I don't know who has been invited for interviews and who hasn't. I don't.
Well, we know that.
It sounds like you know more than I do.
We know that 2 people didn't get interviewed. And we can make that judgment already right now, which is that the community does support 2 people who were told, you're not even worth an interview. Right. So how is it that this process is remotely fair when the community has spoken that they're interested in those 2 people and they said, no, not even a shot, not even a chance that they will be talking to you? How is that
I understand the question, but that's a question for the committee. That is a question for the committee to the
The
superintendent.
committee signs confidentiality reports, and the committee can never tell us. So how is it possible that we ask the committee this question if the DOE has them sign confidentiality reports to not talk to us?
And the level 1 has to sign a confidentiality, so we really cannot comment that night.
All right, that's a fair point. We will, it is, but there is a hiring manager and the superintendent can respond
The hiring manager.
to the question. So I was just talking to Robert saying, let's make sure we reach out on behalf of everyone here and say we have concerns about, questions about how candidates were selected for interviews.
Mr. Kenzo? Mr. Kenzo?
Go ahead.
Can you understand why this community has, leave Mr. Jahoda out of the question for a moment, why this community has little to no faith in the Department of Ed? In very simple terms, as Mr. Sweeney said, we've made our feelings known, and it's not really a personal matter. Linda Katz said the DOE is supposed to come in and organize things, put things together. The DOE has come into this building twice with our children. When Ms. Pinheiro came in and demeaned and disrespected them, and now when Mr. Jahoda is mending their into this room. the work, the laudable, impressive, gratifying work that these children do, call that fake news. Leave Ms. Jahoda out. She's a step below. Of course, she can't condemn that. Can you respond to that?
I can.
And a feeling that how wonderful these children make us feel that we teach them in history class and in English class to speak up to
what's right.
seek out an injustice when one comes along and to use the process and fight that. These kids are far more impressive than anything that is coming into this building of your work. Your office got 38 resumes and we are not even, all we know is 5 came forward. Please tell us why we can trust that you picked the best 5 and that you will even listen to us tell you which one we want when you're not obligated to do that as well.
The fake news comment was not at that meeting. It does not represent my views. It does not represent the views of the Department of
It
Education.
represents the person who recommended this woman to be our next principal. She said it. She confirmed that Mrs. Jahoda was okay to be the next principal. So again, it's not about Ms. Jahoda. That's a person from your office who said that's nonsense, she's fine. So please stop, I'll use Mr. Babstock's word, disavowing these things. They need to be discussed, and these kids need to be apologized to and congratulated.
In public.
Discriminatory, right? So it has to be concerning the career, the education, their qualifications, right? We did not, we just, again, we just found out today, the meeting is Wednesday, so we have to group and formulate our set of questions. Supposedly, from what I understand, I forgot how many questions, we have to ask 5 or 6 questions. And then every candidate has to be asked the same question and get allotted the same amount of time to speak.
And the committee does have broad latitude in creating the question, Yes, I'm sorry, it's okay. Students wanted to ask a question.
Oh, okay. So we have a question in regard to the C30 process, and we've emailed the DOE multiple times asking about this. And the question is, it says in the C30 regulations, interim acting principals must be in the principal candidate pool except in exigent circumstances when the senior deputy chancellor or his or her designee may authorize assignment of an interim acting principal prior to completion of an evaluation. So we just want clarification on what the word exigent circumstance refers to and what it is.
And does the word exigent circumstances apply to Townsend Harris?
I may have to call you out tomorrow morning and get back to you on that one. Is that okay? Is that fair? I don't want to comment on the record for that without having a real clear response. I'll give you my very number.
Can DOE's Deputy Superintendent Will Mantle respond?
The question was in regards to what the word exigent circumstances means, as it's listed in the C30 regulations, and we asked for clarification on the matter multiple times, and we just want to know exactly what it means and if it applies to Townsend Harris High School, as we know that currently interim acting principal Rosemarie Jahoda is being investigated in regard to an article we wrote about Anna Schumann and Ava Hangartner. For some background on this story, Ava Hangartner was a student who was visually impaired, and she was denied things mandated in her IEP form. And her and her mother suggested that Ms. Jahoda sabotaged her, and now we have concrete evidence that the OSI is investigating the matter currently. So we just wanted to know if that can be considered an exigent circumstance.
And I want to make sure I represent every single
We have,
Can I just follow up on that?
Sure.
The relation seems to be a contradiction, right? That protect the candidate favored, or appear to be favored by the superintendent. Any member of the level 1 committee who is under investigation is automatically disqualified from serving on the level 1 committee, correct?
That is correct.
Right. However, a candidate who is under investigation for denying a student with special needs is allowed to be in the pool to be considered. Is that correct?
That, I want to get back to.
Yeah, I think we need an answer, because I think that that's probably.
But, however,
Thank you very much.